Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Arboretum update for the year 2025. It is terrifying how fast the years go by because I do this video at this time every year and it feels like I just did last year's. Before we take a look at what's going to go in to the Arboretum this year, let's just take a look at how things are looking down there. There's some good news and some bad news. So as a refresher or a reminder or whatever, as we're walking down here, this Arboretum space is, I think, like 2.5 or 3 acres. It's kind of on this little front area of the property. And the idea with the trees in here is that they are solely here to be trees, to be examples of basically a specimen of their species. They're not planted here with a specific end date, so this is not a timber stand. These trees are not planted to be harvested for lumber someday, although if they die, that's certainly what they're going to become. But the idea is that I have all these specimens that we can look at and we can see and compare as we're looking at different trees compared to like the lumber and all that. So I think this is going to be a fun extension of the woodworking side of things over the years as the trees start to come up and mature and as the collection grows. So we're coming up to the first tree that I planted. This is the walnut tree that I got from the old house. I moved it here. It has absolutely exploded, like quite a bit. At the end of the season last year, it was just outside of the top of the tube, just kind of poking out a little bit, and already this year is taken off. So it's made its way through the tube, and it's now, I don't know how tall it is, probably about close to 8 feet tall now. So it's going. I mowed this little path to make this a little bit easier. The ash tree, the green ash, we'll come back to that. It's still not dead, so that's good. Coming around here, we have the 2 Osage orange and the sycamore here. This guy, the first one, is still alive, which is great because we had what I would call a normal winter as far as temperature goes. Last season, we didn't really have that much snow, but we still had the same kind of cold spells, so that one's still going. These don't normally grow in this zone. And then this guy, you can actually see the leaves in here. So it's alive too. So I'm really excited that these guys are growing. They did die back, but they're not dead. So that's nice. And then come over here to the sycamore. I believe this one's still alive too. It's trying to escape its tubes here, but it's still going. And walking down here, this is the box elder. This guy's still going. We've got like a double leader thing going on with this guy. I haven't really been keeping too much care with this one because it's kind of way back here, but there it is, it's still going. And then actually have one over there against that horse thing. So they have a much larger version and then a smaller version of this species. And as I'm walking back up, I think one of the things I want to try and accomplish this year is to get more of the native species in here, especially some more of the maples that we have around here, some more in the Acer genus, like the box elder. I think that's the only Acer that we have in here right now. Anyway, we'll get back to that. We need more trees. There's a lot of space still. Someone just needs to take the time and do it. Okay, this one here is the pin oak, and it's happy. So that guy's going well. We'll come back to that. Let's see how the trees here in the front are doing. The locust is still alive. Looks like it got some dieback, but it's coming back up, so that's cool. That one's good. That's some good news. Now for the bad news. Sadly, both of the ginkgo trees that John sent last year didn't come back this spring. I was keeping an eye on them. Last fall, they were happy and green. They had grown up to kind of in this area, getting towards the top of the tube, but this spring, nothing. That's sad. Oh wait, never mind, look at this. I spoke too soon. it's kind of doing the same thing as all the other trees. It kind of died back. The main stem died back, but it still has some life in it. Okay, this is great. This is not so bad news, I guess. This one okay? This one's sprouting. Okay, this is good. We'll see what we can do about this guy, but you can see it's got some shoots coming off it down here. So it's kind of dead from here up, but down here you've got some new shoots coming out. So that might still be okay. This one seems to be doing even better. It's got a much bigger shoot coming out the side here. So we will do something about this. That's kind of it for trees that are currently alive and growing, I guess, with the exception of that walnut tree, which is kind of right in the middle of the field here. That I just found had popped up in the field last year, and I put a tube on it. That one's still growing, it's happy. So that's the current status of the trees in the Arboretum. We got some planting to do, some maintenance to do, and all of that. I'll show you the trees that Greg sent. Again, thank you, Greg. He sends trees every year. I think without the help of other people, this would have fallen off as a side project that I never get around to. So let's take a look what's going into the Arboretum this year, and hopefully we'll be staying there forever. Okay, so first off, these are the 3 trees that Greg sent this year. I'm pretty excited about the second one. This first one is basswood. Oh, and also, these were fine until just literally yesterday, they got grazed by a deer. So the leaves aren't quite as amazing as they were yesterday. But anyway, we got basswood. That is a butternut. And then this is a pitch pine. But this one, I don't think it really survived the trip too well, so it hasn't looked that great. We'll get it in the ground. Hopefully it's going to be fine, but it doesn't look so hot. But the butternut I'm really excited about because I have the walnut down there, and this would be a good species to have right next to the walnut or close to it, so you can compare and contrast the difference between a butternut tree and a walnut tree. And then also, in a video last year, I found a little tree growing in a log, and we put that in a pot to hopefully have for the Arboretum this year. But unfortunately, it didn't make it through the winter. Here it is here. It didn't quite make it. I think it's like a little spruce or something, but it didn't survive the winter either. It was fine for the whole summer, but the spring it looked like that. So we have those 3 to add, and I also want to find some other species that are actually a little more native here to actually get those ones started and going. So we're going to take a look around and see if there's any trees that are currently weeds that would do better in there than where they're not supposed to be. And one species for sure that I want to get in there is cherry. So I think it was, I don't know, probably 2 years ago, I put some tubes on these guys. That's a hard maple and that's a cherry. And once they get to the top of that tube, they just explode. So I want to find one of those to put down in there. And ideally, hopefully it's something that's somewhat established already, not too crazy small and easy to dig up. Another one I have over here, which I just noticed before starting this, is this, I think this is chestnut oak or swamp oak. So that's one of the white oaks. If I can get this out of this furrow of this tree, that would be good to have down there. And actually, as I was coming around this birch tree, I saw this guy. This is a pretty good looking cherry. It's kind of far enough away from other trees, so I could probably dig that up pretty easily. So I think this is a cherry that we'll take. Other ones I'm going to try and find, hard maple, silver maple, cottonwood, if I can find that one somewhere. It was just cottonwood season. Hey, what's this? That's some kind of red oak. I'm not super good at identifying little tiny saplings like this, but our phones are these days. There you go, northern red oak. I mean, It's not very big. It looks like it just came up this year, so we'll see. We'll get that one out of here because it can't grow here anyway. Okay. Buckthorn. Ugh. Okay, hopefully I got enough of the roots. It's way down there. Okay, and as I was digging over here, I just realized that there is a bur oak right here. So we're gonna try and get that one out too while we're here. Hopefully there's less stuff in the way for this one. Yeah, there's a big root right here, which it goes right underneath. So I'm not gonna be able to get much more of this root system out of here. Unfortunately, this is about as good as I'm gonna be able to get this one out, so I'm gonna have to snip it down here. I don't really have a whole lot of hope for this one, but whatever. We'll try. There's a little white pine right here. Probably off of the big white pine here. It's easier when there isn't like giant tree roots in the way. Just scoop her out of here. There we go. A white pine. Right back here, Norway maple. This is great. Getting some gardening done and planting trees in places where they should be, except instead of being next to buildings. Oof. There we go. Okay, there's that guy. Okay, I think that's gonna be it. In my walk around, I didn't see any hard maple or silver maple. Didn't see any cottonwood either. But where'd my cherry tree go? Okay, cherry and white pine. Yeah, I think these are gonna be plenty enough for now. This is gonna keep me busy for a little while here. Yes, yes, yes. I know you're confused by the grass. It's very confusing. Now I get to walk all the way back, get you guys. I thought you were gonna like follow me down. Well, I gotta like carry you everywhere? The only tree that I have a spot in mind for is the butternut, which is gonna go right over here, so it's kind of close to the walnut. So we can compare those ones over time or whatever and whatnot. So I want those to be close. Let's get this thing in the ground. I got my tube, my pounder, and I got a little story to tell you about the tree tubes and stakes. So I've been using these for however long I've been doing this. And last summer after I finished, it was late in the summer. I'm like, I'm gonna need more tubes for, next year or whatever. So I ordered a pack of 10 tubes and 10 stakes. And almost immediately, my order gets canceled and I'm issued a refund. And I got a message from Plantra, who I ordered the tubes from, and they're like, someone ordered a bunch of tubes and they mentioned that they saw them in your video, so these ones are on us, and if you want any more, we'll take care of you. So they ended up sending out 30 tubes and stakes and some netting and some fertilizer packets, all kinds of stuff. So thank you to whoever that was that mentioned that you saw these here and ordered them, however many you ordered, and told them about it, because that helps this project out, that's for sure. So that's the story, I guess. Thank you to whoever that was, and thank you to Plantra for supplying these tubes and being part of the reason that this project keeps going. Because there's people watching, people supporting, people making sure I do this every year. And as I'm thinking about the layout for all this, I kind of like the idea of like similar species being kind of close together so you can compare and contrast. So I think we're going to do a little bit of that here. I think the 2 oaks, or the 3 oaks, 3 now? Yeah, 3 different kinds of oak. We'll put them over there by the pin oak, so you have a comparison between pin oak and northern red, which are both categorized as red oak. And then we got the chestnut oak and the bur oak. Those are both categorized as white oak. So you like contrast all those together, and they're kind of along that fence line. So I think those can go over there. And we don't have anything up next to that tree line over there, so maybe we'll plant the other ones kind of over there, and then all the oaks will go on the other side along the fence. That seems like a good plan. Here's your tube and your stake. Kind of looks like there's a storm coming in. I think I'm about to get rained out. Okay, new day. Didn't really have much of a storm yesterday. I think we're just close by to wherever that storm was heading. So just a little bit of rain, but it got windy for a while, but nothing exciting. We got these oaks to plant, and I think that's it for trees going in the ground, and then just maintenance time. There's a little northern red. And as I was planting this one, I found an old arrow. I thought that was kind of cool. And we'll do these shorter tubes on these guys just because it's easier to keep an eye on them when the tube isn't so tall and deep. So I did kind of an every other thing here with the oaks. So we go from white to red to white to red again. So there's our oak line. I think that's it for trees to plant. Now it's on to maintenance. So now the tree is coming out the top of the tube, is wanting to branch out, so I just trimmed off a few of the lower limbs, and we'll probably continue doing that up to get to a high enough point before it starts actually branching and making its canopy. So at this point with the tubes, I mean, let me step back, I guess. You could also keep going with the tubes as high as you want. If you have a long enough stake to support how many tubes you want to put on here, you can keep this thing going 20 feet in the air inside the tube if you want to. For me, I'm going to let it start going into a tree form, or start going up into a tree form at this point, because as nice as it is looking out this field and seeing a bunch of white tubes, I would really like to see some foliage at this point. So we're going to allow it to continue to go up outside the tube. The tubes at that point though, because the tree is going to start, crowning out, they'll have to be cut off, which isn't a huge deal, because if you cut them along the seam where they mount to the stakes, when you go to reuse them, you can basically just stitch them back together over the stake with the ties, and that allows you to reuse the tubes. Keeping the tubes on there allows you to have some more protection for that trunk as it's maturing. They're supposed to be left on, I think it's in the instructions, it says 2 to 2 inches in diameter for the trunk. So this will probably still have tubes on it for the next 5 years, but the tubes will help protect it from rubbing, or deer rub, or animals gnawing at it, or whatever. It'll do that. And the other thing that tubes do is down at the ground there where the mulch is, it creates a negative space where the trunk enters the ground, so your mulch isn't piling up against the trunk, causing moisture issues or fungus or whatever happening down there. It basically forces you into having a mulch volcano without having to actually dig the mulch away from the trunk. So anyway, that's this guy. It's like 8 feet tall. That tree has come a long way. I'm so excited to see it actually start to pop out of that tube and start looking like a tree. So in theory, with that tube still on there, I don't really need this anti-deer gate, but since this tree is so sentimental to us, I'm not gonna take any chances, and it's not like I need these gates for something else. One bucket of mulch for every single tree. That was a lot of raking. But I did 2 things. I cleaned up the yard and I mulched all the trees. And I got a lot of exercise. Just raking away. Anyway, onto the ash tree. We'll take a look at this thing. So last year I treated this tree and the other ash trees here in the field with Triage G4. This is like an anti-emerald ash borer treatment. And this thing hasn't died yet. And a couple of observations I have at least for it is that it has died back a bit, but it has like healthier looking foliage. Like the leaves look fuller and bigger and more normal looking this year than last year. They looked all small and decrepit, so maybe that's a good sign. Maybe this is like its last little fight to keep growing or whatever. But one of the questions on the treatment was how often it needs to be done. And at least through my research, it looks like every other year is the frequency. But what else am I gonna do with this jug? This is the juice. This is $400 for a quart. So it's like if these trees die, what am I gonna do with this anyway? So I figured I might as well go ahead and give it a little booster this year, and I'll boost the other ones that are still alive. The only ash trees that are still alive on my property are the ones out here in the field, and there are, actually no, there's one up by the house. There's 4 in the field here that are still alive, one by the house, which was looking a little healthier last year, so I treated it, and it's still alive. All the other ones are completely dead and need to be removed at some point. So I'm gonna go ahead and treat this thing again, and then hopefully next year it's still alive and it can kind of start rebuilding and reforming and not be dead. More than anything, just not be dead. All right, there we go. Another treatment for this tree. Well, the start of it. I only have 5 of those syringes, so I'll probably do another 2 or 3 injection sites on this one, but hopefully next year it's still here and still got some greenery to it. So that is what's going on in the Arboretum this year. I feel like this is like probably the first year where things are starting to maybe start to take off, finally maybe, or at least this one. I'm really happy about this. It's come a long way and it survived and it keeps surviving and it's starting to thrive. So I'm quite excited about that. We got a good collection of trees going here. Things seem to be working out okay, so I feel like I have some more time and energy to devote to this project now going forward, so that is also a plus. So that's gonna do it for this year's Arboretum update. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments on the Arboretum or anything back in the shop or whatever, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.